Hey guys, you're probably wondering why am I all dressed up for Dress Down Fridays? Well, I run my own business and I decided to dress up today. No particular reason. I'm not going to a funeral or wedding or anything like that. I just feel like dressing up. So that's my story with that. Plus, the topic I'm going to talk about today is a very serious one. Like every topic I talk about when it comes to taxes, they are all serious. Today, I'm tackling the 1099 issue, specifically 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation. Who's a contractor? Who's an employee? Not going to go very deep into that today. I probably do another video on that, but I still want to touch on the employee, non-employee misunderstanding, if you will. Okay, so I've probably done another video on this before, but forgive me, I think repetition is an essential learning aid. So you're going to learn something new or reinforce something you learned before. Independent contractors are not subject to FICA tax. FICA is Federal Insurance Contribution Act. Goes back to the years of that president, who's that again? That's Roosevelt, the New Deal. If I'm mistaken, please correct me on that, but it goes back a long way. Now, if you're self-employed, you're not subject to FICA, but you are subject to SECA, Self-Employment Contributions Act. That's of 1954. So under the SECA, you're required to pay the same amount of taxes as you would under FICA, 15.3%. The only difference is that as an employer slash business owner slash employee, you're paying the entire thing. Whereas if you're working for someone, they're paying half of that, right? 7.65, you're paying the other 7.65. Anyway, now I want to talk about a very interesting case, interesting court case involving Uriah Jones. And he worked as an employer for three companies, but he also had a 1099 gig or a contractor gig where he worked for a condominium developer. So in preparing his returns that year, this goes back a long time, but I just thought it was very interesting, 2007, in fact, he never reported the income from that condominium developer. And because his thing is he never got a 1099, which is, again, a no-no. 1099 or not, you're supposed to report the income. So one day the IRS shows up at his business and slapped him with this unreported 1099 income. He decides, listen, I'm going to sue them because I was not a 1099 or a contractor. I was actually an employee. So he went ahead and did that, filed that suit in tax court. And unfortunate for him, the court ruled against him. And yes, the IRS was then able to assess both the income and self-employment tax. And it's really sad because had he done the right thing from the beginning and reported the income, he wouldn't have been faced with additional income on which he'd have to pay taxes and self-employment tax. I mean, he would have paid it anyway, but it would have been a long time ago or prior to when he got caught. So what you have to keep in mind is that even if the 1099 gets delayed or lost, because we know the post office, right? They don't always do things the way they should do it. You still have an obligation to report that income. You still have an obligation to report that income. Otherwise, you're going to be faced with stiff penalties and interest on the penalties that are paid or that are required to be paid, and you just don't want that. So employers, on the other hand, you have to also issue 1099s because you're also going to be faced with penalties for filing those late. And the penalties run the gamut between $50 and up to $500,000 or even $1 million, depending on how big your company is and how many unfiled 1099s you have. So anyway, that's the case of Mr. Jones. He ended up having to pay that money, including interest and penalties and whatnot. I just don't want that to happen to you. Okay. So if you're by not filing the 1099, you just put a sign on your face saying, I'm an idiot, come audit me immediately. And you want to avoid that. Avoid this sign, avoid have anything to do with the IRS, at least in a negative way, and you'll be just fine. If you like this video, guys, like it, share it, subscribe. I look forward to doing more videos for you, educating you on different aspects of taxes. You take care, and as we said, W. Scully CPA PC, taxing you is their job, saving you is ours, or we give you $100. Bye for now.